Sister um, Nadia, I have a question for you. As a Pan-Africanist and Haitian, catching hell in the United States, can you give us an understanding of the Haitian Revolution and how it practically was an expression of Pan-Africanism?
Okay, I'm honored to be here with two esteemed Babas to our community. I think when we look at certain terminology, we look at the linguistic definitions versus the operational ones. I think that Pan-Africanism has been a part of who we are since the slave castles. The numerous slave rebellions on slave ships couldn't occur unless there was a sense of identity among the enslaved as a group separate and apart for the people who were enslaving them. And in Haiti, I think the Haitian Revolution encapsulate that most strongly because you had the coming together of various African ethnic groups who spoke different languages, who had different cultural expressions, who had to come together in order to fight for their freedom. One of our most celebrated holidays is August 14th. And that commemorates the gathering in 1791 in Wakaman, where we had Dutty Boukman, who was an enslaved African on the island of Jamaica, who came and joined forces with Cecile Fatiman, and along with roughly 200 other enslaved Africans to launch the Haitian Revolution. And one of the things that came out of that was a clear identity as African people. Because at that point, Haiti didn't exist. Haiti did not exist as a identity for those individuals. We were African. And I always, tell my kids, when I came to this country at 5, believe it or not, one of the things that was never allowed to be questioned was, one, if you're Haitian, and two, if you're African. We never had that debate. We are African people, okay? We are Black people. We are Haitian. And all of those things are vehicles of pride. What the individuals who fought in the Haitian Revolution were able to do without higher degrees in warfare, maneuvers, and all of those other things that people would think would be necessary, we were still able to defeat at that time, the greatest global power, France. And the only reason it was able to happen was because everyone who fought on the side of Haitian people were African, and we were clear on that identity. And I think that that's one of the major ways that the system of white supremacy has always sought to control the ultimate freedom for African people.
Wow, that's heavy. I don't know if people who listen to that got the fine points that Sister Nadia made, because part of her narration we don't find in the books that we have here on the Haitian Revolution. She brought in the role of African women in launching the revolt, and she was telling me there was more than one Boukman. There were a number of them. Almost every account only speaks of one. And your point is really profound, that it was this Pan-African unity, this idea of oneness, that really drove the people to rebel, along with your religion or the spirit system, what's called voodoo, which cannot be discounted. I'm into Ifa, and I'm not an initiate or anything, but there's some real power in that. So that was a heavy account.
Well, Vodun,
Go ahead.
no, I was saying, well, it's understood that in order for the Haitian Revolution to occur, it couldn't have occurred without the spiritual gathering. That when Dutty, who was the Ugan in the ceremony, and Cecile Fatima, who's the Mambo, that the only way for us to battle this foreign force was for us to combine and connect to our ancestors, to our ancestral practices. And coming out of Africa, that is doom. And it was like, we didn't get there and have the Pentecost. We didn't get together, and call on the name of Jesus and plead on the blood. We had to use what was innate for us. And the practice of Vodun allowed that. And it worked.